Altcoin season canceled because of this. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet. And the short answer to that is it is just about to begin. We have this major pullback by Bitcoin, which is as expected. Excuse me. And we are having the upward momentum soon to follow and continue to all-time highs. The pullbacks are necessary to keep the 200 EMA close right before we take off. With that being said, I did a video on XRP, but we're going to look at, or XCN, we're going to look at XYO and XRP. A lot of stuff on this chart. So we have the 200 EMA. This is the main thing we need to get over. We keep testing it, trying to break over it. We did not hold that. We pushed under, tested 2 more times, 3, 4. And this 200 EMA is very weak right now. With that being said, putting everything back on the chart, this downward black trend line, right here, is essentially what we are looking at, needing to break for this thing to take off. We've seen it happen in the past, and I will show you an example, but holding this upward trend line is nice. We could even see lowers around 0.008, but they say XYO can hit $2. It's debatable. We are currently at less than 1 penny. So getting an entry down at this level is probably your best bet. If it drops lower, I don't believe it will, but if it does, collect some more and expect a very violent ride up. An example I want to show is XRP. So we're going to go back in time, or sorry, this is XPR. I will bring up XPR, but XRP, back in the day, this isn't the best example on this chart, but we had a long consolidation period, breaking this downward trend line, crossing over a 200 EMA, holding it as support, and then a major push up for XRP. The same thing can be happening for XYO. Looking at its previous history, we've seen back here, let's go zoom out, long consolidated period, downward trend line right here. There wasn't really any bottom to be going off of except an upward trend line from here, constantly readjusting it. And we had the wick off and we crossed the downward trend line, held over that 200 EMA, and then a violent push up. We had the major sell-off at 0.01 all the way back down to 0.007 before ultimately taking off all the way to nearly 3 cents or 4 cents. So a fraction of a cent to 4 cents is massive. However, the all-time high is up here around 8 cents. I believe it could be a little different on a different chart. But once we break this downward trend line, XYO is going to take off. And when we look in the past in XRP, we look at the RSI. So let's look at the RSI right here and right here down on the bottom. RSI has this W formation, crosses over the yellow under, and then once it crosses over that yellow, it starts to have the bullish momentum and stays very overbought all the way up to this point at 2.85 before it needs to have the consolidation, bringing the RSI to the healthy 50. Then it crosses over again and has the bullish momentum to the next high for XRP. So we could expect something very similar for XYO, breaking that downward trend line as we have seen in the past. Breaking the downward trend line is very important, has a major push up, consolidation to get the RSI healthy, and then major push up yet again. Another example further back, XYO, more or less downward trend line. I guess we could readjust this. This being our downward trend. Getting over that downward trend line and also crossing that 200 EMA had that major push up. So we've seen it in the past multiple times. We are just waiting for that moment to happen, and it is getting very, very close as the 200 EMA is getting tested many times by this upward momentum and pressure from this black upward trend line. Once we get over both, right around in this area, around 0.01, we could have that major pump to 0.024 or higher. Even all the way up here to 0.04 is a possibility before a retracement, consolidation, and a further increase in price from roughly less than 1 cent. Looking more into XRP now, has the pullback along with the rest of the market, is still working within this. Oh, this is XPR, sorry. Well, we'll talk about XPR. It's looking pretty nice. The previous high was extremely high, way up here, at almost 10 cents. Prior to that, almost 6 and roughly 5 cents. We are currently at 0.006, so this coin is cheaper than XYO, but XYO seems to be a little bit better utility in my personal opinion, which is why I put money into that one instead of XPR. But you can trade XPR on MEXC. Reference link in the description below. 10 USDT free if you use that reference link, but it is starting to build some support. The 200 EMA is coming up, keeping it nice and healthy. The RSI is healthy. Everything's looking good. We want to see it hold the support on this black upward trend line and ultimately break this downward trend line. And if we can get a close above this 0.008, XPR can take off. But moving on to XRP, and then we'll sneak in one more. XRP had that major retracement along with everything else, but major bullish momentum right here with the wicking off. The 200 EMA is very hot. It's just trying to keep it nice and close, so whenever it starts to pump, that 200 EMA is very close to the previous candle, and then it starts to curve up violently. So we could see XRP be hitting $5 before a major retracement, maybe even $4.60. Before testing the previous high is a possibility, and then taking off to around $15 to $25 as the ETF by BlackRock that was released. They were selling it at $24, and it got bought up like no other within 90 minutes. But XRP dollar cost average, keep buying and stacking your XRP, as it can only go up from here. None of this is financial advice. Same with HBAR and XLM. I'm just going to sneak them into this video. Trying to test this downward trend line, and when that holds support, this can take off as well. So if you have not enter into some HBAR. It's got a very good utility, similar with XLM, exact same pattern and everything with XRP, XLM, and HBAR. Major upward potential when they hold this downward wedge trend line and then start seeing that upward momentum that will be coming very, very quickly. And lastly, DNT looks similar to XYO. Just needs to break a downward trend line and cross that 200 EMA. When we get out of 0.03 cents, DNT rips. We've kind of seen in the past, we broke a downward trend line, but we had to wait to get over that 200 EMA. Even with a violent pump, we had that pullback, a push up to test that previous high, and then tested way down here the previous low before ultimately taking off from, where was that? 0.02 all the way to 20 cents. And that's not even the highest point being 25 cents. So this thing has a very long way to go, and it is coiled up. It cannot go any lower. So if you haven't yet, like and subscribe. Good luck, have fun with it, and I will see you on the next one.